guys, it's Liam here again, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the Nintendo GameCube, which was their follow-up to the N64, and it was Nintendo's first CD-based console, following on from their success with the cartridge-based systems. So here we go. Okay, so this is the Nintendo GameCube, which was Nintendo's follow-up to the N64. It was released in late 2001 to early 2002, depending on where you are in the world. And what's important to note about the GameCube is that they finally, with this console, ventured into the CD-based market, as the Nintendo 64, as covered in a previous video, showed that they still stuck with the cartridge-based games, even though back in the Nintendo 64 days they were up against the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn, which still had the CD games. Now, it's a very, very basic design. It's quite a fat console, but it's small, as you can see. It's not a massive console. So there's no real problems with the size of it. Now, on the front here, you've got your power button. You've also got your reset button and your eject button. Now, I have to say, I do prefer consoles, CD-based consoles that is, where you can top load them, because I've found in the past that I've had issues with games getting stuck in the system over time and they're a pain in the ass to get out. So at least with these ones, even with like the PlayStation 3, the slimline top loader now, you can't get the game stuck in there, or the PS2 top loader, the slim, PS2 Slim, just a lot easier. Now moving on the front, you've got your 4 controller inputs there, and a couple of memory card slots. Just like the Nintendo 64, they gave you the option at least of having the 4 controller inputs, something that no other system at the time has given you. You may not necessarily need the 4 controller inputs, especially in this day and age of online gaming, but at least you have the option. So thank you, Nintendo, for at least giving us the option for us to choose to have a 4-player game with like a racing game or something if we want. Now on the back, there's not really too much to see, but I'm going to show you anyway. Now on the back, you've just got your AV and your power. So, for example, this little tiny thing here. And another reason why the game system was quite compact, came with a separate power brick with its little tiny input to go right in the back there. And then you've got your AV cables, which again will just go right in the back. Nothing spectacular to show in this. There's not really too much that you're going to find different to anything else, except maybe this, the controller. Nowhere near as bad as the N64's controller was. So it's better, but it's not brilliant. You've got your R buttons and your Z button there, or Z. Well, I'm going to say Z, because that's how you properly pronounce it. Nothing there. Don't know why, but there you go. And you've got your game sticks and a few buttons on the front. Now, it's when it comes to actually using the controller, it's decent. It feels okay in your hands. There's certainly been worse controllers, like the Atari 5200, but I'm not going to go into that on this video. So the price of its compactness, though, came with its power brick. But that's no different than, again, say the PS2 Slimline or anything like that. Now, it was discontinued, though, around about 2007 to make room for the Nintendo Wii. But the Nintendo Wii, just like the PlayStation 2 was fully compatible with PlayStation 1 games, and the early PlayStation 3s were compatible with PlayStation 1 and 2 games, the Nintendo Wii is compatible with your GameCube games, so that you can only have the one system hooked up if you've only got the room for one, but still you don't have to put all of your older games away. Now, the thing that was really unique about the Nintendo GameCube, though, even though it was still a CD-based console, it actually used a completely different type of CD. It wasn't really the standard DVD format. Now, I don't know whether they didn't use the standard DVD format. Maybe it was to save money on, I don't know, copyright licensing or something. I really don't know. I'm not that much of a geek to bother to look into it either. I can't really be bothered doing that. But I do know, if I just use one game as an example, so Spider-Man 2, brilliant game by the way. Not an exclusive to the GameCube, but still a really, really good game. This is what's unusual when it comes to the GameCube games. Let me get that out and show you. Look at the size of that. It's tiny. It's not it's not a standard size DVD. Now there were advantages and disadvantages to this unusual choice of CD though from Nintendo. The main advantage is because it didn't hold as much information on there. It's something like 1.2 gigabytes thereabouts. It did give a lot faster loading times, in-game loading, than the PlayStation 2 or even the Xbox. It was a lot faster in loading. Now the main disadvantage, it doesn't show in this game because it's not a massive game, but in much bigger games, some games come with 2 CDs. I mean, that's not a major drawback. I mean, if you look back to, say, the PlayStation 1, you could get some games that could come with, up to 4 CDs. Like one game I can think off the top of my head that I was quite fond of back then, Psychic Detective, came with a number of CDs, sorry. So did the Wing Commander games, things like that. So it's not a major drawback, but it did involve, on some games, having to take the CD out, put the CD on to the next CD in to continue playing. It's not a major drawback, but perhaps it doesn't look completely modern. It's not a step forward in that sense, having to actually change the disc. We're not back in the days of the Amstrad or the Commodore 64, having to rewind the tape, so to speak. But yeah, so it's not a major drawback. But again, if anyone knows exactly why they used the non-standard format there, was it for licensing reasons? Was it just to save money? I don't know. Or was it the intention to make faster loading times for the in-game loading? Because that certainly worked if that was the reason. Anyway, that is the Nintendo GameCube. If you can't, if you like Nintendo, which I do, especially the NES and the SNES, and you're a collector like me, then definitely pick one of these up. They're not very expensive at all. Neither are the games. It's a good console if you want to start collecting like an older console. Doesn't cost very much for the system. Certainly doesn't cost very much for the games. It's definitely a good one to start with. And if you've only got room to one system at a time to hook up to your to your TV, I was going to say computer then, but I'm going to say TV. Then you could even use them on your Nintendo Wii. And there we go. That's the GameCube. Okay guys, now that was my review or quick review of the Nintendo GameCube. If you can pick yourself one of these up, then definitely do so. They're not very expensive. They're nice and easy to find. They're not uncommon or anything like that. And one thing which I'm just going to briefly touch on, which also makes it definitely worth having, is there is an add-on for these that you can get as well, which aren't very uncommon. You can pick them up, on eBay and places like that, which is a Game Boy add-on, which would go on underneath here, which will actually allow you to play like your Game Boy games, like Game Boy Advance, original Game Boy Color, all on your TV as well, rather than just through the little handheld. But, some people might want to do that, others might not. If you don't, fair enough, but at least the option is there. Yet another thing that Nintendo give you the option of doing, which you don't get on many consoles these days. Okay, well anyway, if you like the video, by all means do subscribe, give me a comment, see what sort of consoles you'd like to see me review in the future, or even games. I am still briefly branching out into games anyway. So if you want to pick one of these bad boys up, take care, bye bye.